as an extension, we'll start with you, Vinay. Where do you see yourself in the context of founder-led sales? Obviously, you've done the sales part of it here successfully. When you enter the US market, and I know you already have some presence out there, have you been the founder-led sales personality, or do you find somebody who's going to sell it for you and set the culture for your company?
It's a great question for us internally as well.
I just went off script.
Yeah, that's good. I'm happy about that. It's a mix of both for us. Firstly, it's a reality that how much ever passionate you are about the product, how much ever you've done the walks of the corridor to sell, some of the products that you're selling, especially deep tech, there is a certain level of credibility, certain level of dual-use technology. You do require a local person to go back as an American citizen to go back and talk to the customers. That's something that we realized as well. Apart from that, we can complement the salesperson or enable them, because there's a certain amount of culture, a certain amount of other factors. It is not like a typical SaaS where you could do it remotely or you could do it with inside sales, SDR, ADR process. And you will have to have a high-touch engagement at least for the next couple of years to get to a certain level of escape velocity and then take it from there. That's how we've got. I don't think we have really got it the way it is, but those are the lessons that we have, and that's a journey that we are doing right now.
Excellent. I want you to talk about the founder-led sales here, because I'll tell you where I'm going with this afterwards when I hear all your response.
I think for the thesis of Zyma is I lead all the founder-led sales for the initial discussion. Because see, the technological validation has to come from the end user. Once the product is technologically validated by the end user, by the discussion next go to the commercial discussion part, right? So the technologically if it is validated, then it is a commercial discussion. So then what Zyma does is Zyma identify what type of thesis we need to use for the sales guy, because their perspective will be on a MEDIC basis one, or a spin theory, or a challenger theory. So we have right sales team who can handle the right questions for them. So we position to them and they take care from the respective things, right? So technologically, I think the founder sales is a decision maker, and especially I think the hotline always remains with the founder only, because sales negotiation, commercial negotiation will happen, walkouts will happen, but again, the hotline has to be with the founder, who needs to be very patiently following up. Unfortunately, founders are busy with the scale up of it. So the follow-up, I think the sales team will be taking care of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think founder-led sales is the way to start. There's no two ways about it. But if you need to scale up though, you need to be able to transfer all the passion, the stories, everything that you have gone through to somebody else so that they can then do what you can do. If you can kind of clone yourself and create another sales guy, that would be ideal. That's the hardest part to do. How do you get sales? We've gone through many salespeople. Hiring the most passionate salesperson is one of the hardest things to do, especially in a remote location. In India, it's a little bit more easier, but when you hire in the US, not only you spend tremendous amount of time, you have to give that person enough time to warm up to the whole thing, your product, the way you sell and everything. And by the time it's already 6 months, 8 months, and then your sales cycle in a B2B enterprise is also long. So by the time you realize you hired a dud, you already paid him for a year. So it's a very challenging thing. So initially, being there with this new person, making sure they understand how you pitch, what you think is essential, whether it's a new market or not, that's absolutely required.
I completely agree with you, and I just wanted to spend a minute afterwards, but let's give Mahesh a chance as well.
So I absolutely resonate with what he said. One of my early co-founders who's no longer with me said, hey, how do I clone you? Literally what he said. And I didn't understand completely. But then at the end of the day, what it comes down to is being able to bring your background, your years of experience, etc., to be able to solution the product, especially in the early days. We're not sure what we're building yet, but we know that it works. And so you need to make sure that your prospects can see that. So therefore, founder-led sales is extremely important. The other thing is, I've also done the same thing. Luckily, I figured it out in 9 months as opposed to 1 year. So we hired a person and very similar sort of approach to how we would go about doing this, but didn't work. So again, it falls back on founder-led sales. The same, another thing is I realized that in the US and international markets it's extremely expensive, but there are various other options of going about doing building a sales organization. For instance, it could be partnerships. That's one thing we're exploring. The other thing is I am personally leading a lot of the initial POCs because that's very important. And also, at the end of the day, convincing a customer, you also have to have that culture fit. Some of the things that we talked about. So yes, I am blessed and very thankfully I'm able to go and do this when I go to the US. And so it's very important that for the next person who's going to be doing this has to be a local, is what I think. Founder-led sales will only take you so far. Ultimately, how do you scale beyond that? It has to be with a local presence. So founder-led sales up to a point and then local.
Totally agree.
Yeah, I think I do agree that founder-led sales is very important, especially if you're entering the market for the first time with your product. Remember one thing, I mean, you may not be the only company that does the same thing, similar thing. But what you bring to the table as a founder-led sales is the kind of things that will allow you to convince your customer that you're doing it better than everybody else. Because everybody gets multiple calls about the same topic, same types of products and services. So it's important to understand that the founder-led sales is a very, very important part of at least what we believe in. We think that somebody should shadow you, understand what it is, and that's how the sales culture is going to be set and allow you to scale locally. So I do believe eventually you should have some sort of a local talent, but we do believe that the founder-led sales is very, very critical, even in the context of technologies that are not available in the US or other markets as well. Founder-led sales is a very important driver.